So I want to talk about the 10 things I wish I knew when I started teaching music that I know now. And these are things for new teachers, but also if you've been in the classroom for a while, they're things that sometimes I think we need to hear. Like I definitely needed to hear some of them more often than I heard them. So number one is set boundaries. Boundaries are really hard, and I think for music teachers it's really hard for us to set boundaries because like math teachers don't play math gigs on the weekend. Like they're not teaching math lessons. Oh, do you teach private math lessons on the side? Like, yes, there are parents that ask that, but it's not like a thing that it's not like a thing that people think about in the same way. Like we say tutoring, but it might not, it's just kind of a little bit different in how it's done, and how people think about it too. It's really hard because music is like something that we really loved and got into, and that is how we ended up as music teachers. And it's hard to say no to things. And boundary setting is difficult for teachers in general, but for music teachers, I think it's maybe a little more difficult. Number two is students need support. Like I think back to my very first year teaching, and there was this one class that like had just terrible behavior all of the time. But like looking back now and knowing things I know now, there's definitely things I would have done differently, but also I think about some of the things that those kids were probably not getting in terms of support. And that can change how we see classes and how we approach classes. Like we know that if kids are hungry, they are not concentrating on the lesson that is kind of boring. Like they're just not. And sometimes it's behaviors because they're crying for attention that they're not getting in other ways. Sometimes it's like out of necessity. Sometimes it's out of just there's too much going on in their home life. And also we need to be a place of support that students feel welcomed and loved in our classroom, even if the stuff we're saying is new to them. Like it's music that they've never heard before. They're trying a dance they've never heard before. Like trying really new things can be difficult for people. And if they're not feeling supported, they might not want to try it in our classroom. So we do have to do some meeting them where they're at, which is a wonderful place where, we're including pop music and things that are familiar to them in ways too, because we can teach with all music. Number three, you have to celebrate growth, not just perfection. No musician is perfect. Our students will not be perfect. It's just not a thing. Get off the perfect train. And with that, number four, mistakes are not the end. If we make a mistake, it is not the end of, the concert. It is not the end of our career. It is not like, the world has stopped and things are terrible. Like, things happen. Like, you only have so much control, especially like with elementary music. There is a lot of things that are completely out of your control, no matter how well you rehearsed. Someone will forget a line, someone will, get a little woozy, heaven forbid. Somebody will make a mistake, somebody will wave to their parents when they're not supposed to. But that just makes it more adorable and charming and real. And it's okay. We kind of need to let it go a little bit. Number five, the most important people in the building are the secretary, the janitor, the IT or sound person from your school or district, and the PE teacher or athletic director. It's not your admin. I hate to say that. Sorry if you're watching this and you're an admin. Like, there's lots you can do to support us, and that's wonderful. But some of the things that we need, like, the nitty gritty things come from the support staff that's in the building, and we really need that. And then the other thing is if you are, your PE teacher or the admin, like those people are, not the admin, the athletic director, like those people are so incredibly important because if you build a good relationship with them, if you work together to help the kids know that it's about progress and perfection and not perfection, and you can do more than one thing at a time, you can be part of more than one activity, like you have to build that. And it can be difficult if you've gone into a place where that is not the culture, and it can be hard if you have somebody that thinks otherwise. But it's so important to build that relationship, because then your students will be able to participate in more than one thing, and you won't be fighting with, you know, the PE teacher about sports or the athletic director about a rehearsal and things like that. So build those relationships. Number 6, don't isolate parents. We have students for way longer than the classroom teachers do. Like, they have those kids for 1 year, and we get them, if you are K-5, for 6 years. Build your relationships with your parents and try your very, very best to do everything to build great relationships with them. And that means not isolating them. And sometimes Western music norms can be isolating to people who are outside of it. Kind of like that sort of feel of like, oh, the uppity going to the concert and they're all dressed nice, and like sort of that stereotype that somehow became a thing. I think it's important to acknowledge that there are practices that we might not feel that have been communicated via media, TV, word of mouth. I'm not really sure, but those things we need to work against. It can be things like restrictive clothing practices. Your black on bottom must match your black on top, and you have to have shoes that are 100% all black, and they can't have any white on them, which I know it's difficult for us to get past that. But like, if your students don't have the money to go buy black dress shoes or all black shoes, and they have like one pair of shoes that's like mostly black and that's what they've got, if it's that big of a deal to you, have a shoe library that they can borrow a pair of shoes from, or see if there's somebody that can lend one out, or just kind of look past it and find a different way to dress your students for performances. Practices of like clap now, don't clap here, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not necessarily something we see in elementary concerts, but at the same time, like, how we approach those things can be isolating to parents. And the other thing is only communicating with parents if it's negative behavior. Like, if it's negative behavior and that's the only thing you are contacting that parent for over 6 years, you've isolated them. Like, they need to have a relationship with you outside of, yeah, your kid was terrible in class today. Number 7 is try to meal plan. And I'm terrible at this. Like, there was one, I did like it was like a Friday night, and I was cleaning out my purse, and I had like 4 packages of Pop-Tarts in there, and none of them had been opened, but they were my like lunch plan for the week that I had not eaten. So when I say meal plan, I'm not talking like the wonderful people that like go and they have like all of the like amazing freezer prepped meals and everything's pre-cut, or even if they're doing it just for the week, like that is goals for me, because you know what you're doing. When I say meal plan, I'm like, okay, you can plan for like pizza on this night and takeout on this night and breakfast for dinner on this night, and we can do, pasta and chicken on this night. And like, I'm just saying, having a vague idea of what you're gonna eat instead of getting to like super hungry at 6 o'clock and then you're like, oh no, I need food. Okay, I'm ordering takeout again. And I'm definitely better at it now that I'm a little older. But when I was like a new teacher, it was like, yeah, no, I have zero planning involved in my brain for food. You'll be better off if you can at least balance yourself throughout the week, where you might have like some healthy foods and things like that. Yeah. Also, meal planning, you can have oatmeal every single day for lunch if that floats your boat. Number 8 is prep your subtubs early. You will be sick. I was so sick my first year teaching, like months and months and months of being sick. And you could tell that the classroom teachers thought it was hilarious. You will want your things in your subtub ready to go. So definitely like have them at least planned out. Even if you still need to make copies here or there, don't make it that, you know, that 8 o'clock the night before and you're going, oh my gosh, or heaven forbid, like 3 a.m. Plan out a subtone. Number 9 is really hard. Number 9, get past the do it for the kids. School is family. And I know there's this wonderful book that is like, our class is a family, and there are students, we talked about student support. There are students that need that support. They need that. However, in your brain, you need to not think that, because it can be a way to, you know, utilize unpaid teacher labor. You know, at 8 o'clock at night, you're still at school trying to make something pretty for your students. We've been through a lot, and we know how educators are valued, and that is something we need to keep in mind, because they are not our family. We have our own families and people that are important to us, and we need to remember that. That does not mean you can't give your best. It does not mean that you can't support your students. It doesn't mean that you can't help them find resources, or if you need to give them some other support. You can do all of those wonderful things that can help them grow, but you also need to remember that boundary line. And that goes back to number 1. And then number 10 is plan ahead. And by planning ahead, I mean, okay, what do I want my students to know by the end of the year? What do I want them to have ready for the concert by the halfway mark? What do I want them to be able to do after 6 years of having me as their teacher? You know, break down all of those things that you want, like your long-term goals for your students, for the class, you know, for the year, and kind of plot those out on a calendar, and then go in and fill in the little details. It will be much easier to lesson plan if you think long-term instead of day to day to day to day to day to day to day without a goal in mind. And it's okay to change things. Like, remind yourself that it doesn't matter if that's the way it's always been done. Like, if it's not working, then it's okay to change it. And I think we need to remind ourselves that it's okay to change it. So those are my 10 things that I wish I had known when I started teaching, and I hope that helps you out. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all later.